Hello, Las Vegas. You're listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. What they see is what they'll be. My name is Mel Tiller. I am thrilled to be with you today. We have a great guest who's going to talk about something that is very serious here in Las Vegas and also around the country. Her name is Valerie Parriett. Valerie, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am thrilled to have you on board. You're going to be talking about something that is extremely important to many, many families in our community. You are a member of the National Kidney Donation Organization.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about that.
So NKDO, the National Kidney Donation Organization, and also the National Kidney Registry are the two organizations that I was with while going through the living kidney donor process and the evaluation.
Living kidney donor process. Exactly what does a living kidney donor mean? What does that mean?
Yes, sir. So if you have a family member or someone who is not related to you, could be a friend or a coworker, someone you know, or a complete stranger. If you want to donate a kidney to that person or to someone that you are considered a living kidney donor candidate. You then have to go through an evaluation, an extensive medical evaluation to see if you can get approved. They do a lot of workup to make sure that they do no harm to you. You are a healthy person wanting to donate an organ, a kidney to someone who is either imminent or in need currently.
Okay, so I take it that you have gone through this process. You are a living kidney donor.
Yes, sir. I
And
did
who
go through
did,
this
okay,
process.
and who did you donate your kidney to?
I donated a kidney to my father December 20th of 2022.
That is really impressive. Talk to me a little bit about the process and what happened. Why did your father need a kidney?
So my father, he suffered 3 heart attacks. With those heart attacks, he had to have stents put in. With the stents put in, they do have to administer a dye. That dye is then filtered through your kidneys. If your kidneys are already not in the greatest shape, that dye then catapults you into kidney failure, renal failure. If you are in renal failure, then you would require dialysis to filter the blood from the toxins that your body would produce.
Yes.
And then from there, when you're put on dialysis, your medical professional provider, your physician will then put you on the list to receive a kidney, either from a living donor or a deceased donor. So when my father was put on that list, I immediately raised my hand and said I would try to donate a kidney to him. It was an easy decision for me. One, because it is my father. Two, because it was a direct command from God. I had to be obedient to what he told me to do.
That's very impressive. I take my hat off to every living kidney donor. What motivates an individual to donate to somebody whom they don't even know?
Sometimes it's just some people just want to do something kind for someone else. You may hear a story on the evening news. You may have seen an article in a newspaper or in a magazine, or you heard of stories from someone that you know, a coworker, and it pulled on your heartstrings and you say, I just want to do something good for someone. I want to give life to someone. I'm so blessed in my life and God has given me so much. I want to pay that forward to someone. Oftentimes it does happen like that. I was surprised to find that there's so many people that just walk right into a transplant center and say, I want to donate a kidney to a complete stranger.
That's amazing.
It happens a lot, but it doesn't happen a lot in the African American community.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. So talk to me about the danger of this process to the donor and the impact on the rest of their lives.
Sure. I do have some notes. Do you mind if I reflect back to those notes? Okay. So there are several risk factors One being surgical risk factors.
Yes.
Anytime you go under under the knife, any surgical procedure has its risks, and that can be bleeding, infection, blood clots, allergy to anesthesia, and sometimes death. But you are made well aware of those risk factors. Your living kidney donor coordinator will make sure that you are aware of everything and that you consent to it. Their goal is to do no harm to you. There's long-term health risks. Living with one kidney, you can live a very healthy life with one kidney, but you are at a greater risk of developing heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes. So you have to maintain a heart healthy diet, low sodium, low low carbs, and low sugar after kidney donation. But you can live a healthy life. I'm healthy and I'm happy and I'm fully recovered. And I just feel good that my father has a better quality of life.
So talk to me about scarring. You're a young woman. You're a beautiful young woman, and people are a bit conceited. People care about their bodies and those kinds of things, especially women. How do you deal with the scarring and that kind of issue?
That's a great question. Um, Technology is a good thing.
Yes.
With my surgery, we did have robotic surgery. With robotic surgery, there are 5 small incisions on the left side. They tend to take the left kidney if they can, because it is the largest kidney.
Yes.
And so I do have 5 incisions on the left side. There's one larger incision where they physically remove the kidney out. But they try their best to minimize your scarring. And my scars are so small that I can live with this. What I couldn't live with was not going through the process and donating a kidney to my father to give him a better quality of life. I can live with a scar.
So talk to me about the preparation process. Obviously, you had to walk through this this whole process. All of a sudden, somebody's saying to you, "We want to take a part of your body."
Mhm.
Mentally, how do you prepare for that?
Um, my driving factor was one, who I was donating to, two, my faith, but also my mentor. I did go through 2 transplant centers. The first transplant center, I went for my evaluation, which is it's a 2-day process. They draw a lot of blood, a lot of scans, x-rays, ultrasounds. They just check you out from head to toe, and then from toe to head, and then head to toe again. It is extensive, but they want to make sure that they are not doing you any harm, and that they check to make sure that moving forward after donation, you live a healthy life. Um, with the first transplant, I was rejected, even though I was a good match for my father. This is where I want to bring awareness to the community, because racism in healthcare is real.
Yes.
It's important that you know your rights as a patient. So when your rights are violated, you are aware. Not just aware, but you know how to navigate that process, because it can be intimidating, it can be scary. But if you know your rights as a patient and you know the rights of a recipient can be listed on multiple lists for a living kidney. They can be listed at multiple transplant centers. I
How did
had
you
to
know? How
really,
did you know your rights? I mean, this. One of the things that happens in the medical system is that people are walking into a system that they're completely unfamiliar with. You don't understand the nuances of the game. How did you learn the nuances of this medical game? How did you learn your rights?
I felt like going through the testing, I've always been aware and concerned about my physical health. I do go to my physician annually, sometimes twice a year. I get my checkups. I know what my baselines are as far as my blood work goes. I know what my diagnoses are. I'm not on any medication. And so when I was being told something that I have never been told by my physicians that have followed me for years, that was a red flag. And then knowing that you have a right to a second opinion. If you feel that you're being told something that doesn't sound right, get a second opinion. And when you rule all that out after you've done your due diligence and it comes down to a racial component, that's when you know. That's how I know. That's how I found out, wait, I gotta be more aware of what's really going on here.
Did your mentor help you through this process, or were you kind of on your own figuring this out?
My mentor has to be neutral. So my mentor was instrumental in saying, if you feel something is not right, then this is what you can do. You can get listed on multiple transplant centers. You can leave this transplant center and go to another one for an evaluation. And that's what I did. They have to be careful with what they say, of course, but yes, they were instrumental in saying, why don't you try somewhere else? And that's what I did. I picked up the phone. I contacted Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland, spoke to the living kidney donor coordinator, who then confirmed what I was feeling and what I was receiving from the other transplant center, that racism is very real. And what I was experiencing was racism. But however, that living kidney donor coordinator was African American, and she got me through that process in 3 months. From evaluation to the surgery donation was 3 months.
Is
Where
that
the other
fast?
transplant center,
Is that fast, or is that kind of a normal timeline?
that was fast.
What's the
That was
average
fast.
time? What's the average time?
It depends on your health. It depends on the health of the donor. For me, I had to lose 45 pounds to get to a healthy BMI for surgery. A lot of times in our community, we don't eat right. So we love our soul food. Soul food is good. It tastes good, but it's
Yeah.
not the healthiest for us. I am fairly young, 46 years old. I don't have hypertension, so we didn't have to worry about that. They didn't even take that into consideration, because there's baselines for that too. If you're not 50, for an African American woman, they don't really focus on your heart health.
So are we saying that you lost 45 pounds in 3 months?
So I lost 65 pounds in 7 months. My goal from the original transplant center was to lose 45. Yes. And that would have been standard at any transplant center. You have to have a healthy BMI.
How did you do that? Because that's a
Sheer.
lot of weight. That's a lot of weight in
Yes, sir.
7 months. How did you do that?
It was not easy. It wasn't easy. But with sheer determination, I had a goal. I had a goal, and that goal was to be a living kidney donor. And I would have done whatever it took to do that. Diet and exercise. That's it. Eating right, low sodium, low carbs, low calorie, and exercise every day to meet my goal. And I did that. It's not that easy for everybody, but my driving factor was who I was donating to. I kept that in mind, and that kept me going.
I understand that you are continuing your engagement with this organization.
Yes, sir. Doing interviews like this with you, spreading the word, talking to anyone who will listen about being a living kidney donor, sharing my story. A lot of living kidney donors don't want it to be about them. They want to share the story of the recipient and how the recipient feels. Sometimes you know the person, sometimes you don't. And then you can tell your story that way. But I often start with my father, telling the story about my father and his health, and then bringing in the donation component from me of being his living kidney donor. But it starts with just sharing your story.
Unfortunately, many people are facing similar situations. how do they get in contact with your organization?
So you can go to the National Kidney Donation Organization website. There is a tab where you can become a living donor. It says become a living donor. You start the process. It's an application that's 75, but it's about 75 questions, takes you about 45 minutes to complete. Then they will reach out to you, pair you up with a transplant center. You can also, if you know someone, a friend, a coworker, or family member who is currently on dialysis and needs a kidney, you can reach out to that person's kidney coordinator. They will then partner you up with the living kidney donor at whatever transplant center they're on the list with. And then that starts the evaluation process.
Can you give us an address for that website?
Okay, so it's the National Kidney Donation, www.nationalkidneydonationorganization.org.
All right. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your time. What is the one message you'd like to leave our listening audience with?
I would like to leave a message with you all to take care of your health. Eat healthy, diet, exercise. A lot of times, 35% of African American community in African Americans in the US are on the wait list to receive a kidney. That is high. We are the highest population African American that are on the list to receive a kidney, and we oftentimes don't receive that. They die waiting for a kidney. The average wait time is 7 to 10 years for a kidney. That's a long time to be on dialysis. A lot of times we can't donate because our health is not, we're not healthy enough to even donate. So it starts with taking care of yourself, talking to your healthcare provider, having your exams every year, watching your blood pressure and diabetes and your weight. And consider kidney donation. You can live a long, healthy life with one kidney. Look at me, I'm a living testimony. And it just feels good to save someone else's life.
How long ago did you have your procedure?
December 20th of 2022. So it hasn't even been 6 months yet.
And how's your father doing?
Wonderful. He's doing so good. He no longer requires dialysis. The kidney's working great for him. He does have to take anti-immunosuppressants every day for the rest of his life. That keeps his body from rejecting the kidney. But he's doing so good. He's gardening again. He's riding his Harley. And these are activities that he couldn't do while on dialysis.
That is fantastic.
So it's amazing.
He's back to riding his Harley. That is so great. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I love about the Las Vegas community is how many people are active and they're standing up and they're making a contribution. Let me say this to you. If you are not making a contribution to our community, think about it. Find a way. Whether it's working with children, whether it's working with elders, whether it's working with the faith community, whether it is working with individuals who are ill, going by and visiting those who are not doing well physically and not doing well health-wise, whether it is working with children, mentoring children, as we do here with the 100 Black Men. Listen, there is a lot of work to be done. And this is an all hands on deck situation. There are individuals today who do not believe in democracy, who do not believe in diversity, and they simply don't believe in inclusion. And they're working very hard against people who look like you and look like me, people who are diverse, people who are different. Everybody must get involved, all hands on deck. Make a difference, make a contribution. You may not be as brave as Valerie, a lot of us are not, but there is something that we all can do. Valerie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. What they see is what they'll be. And that's Keeping It 100.